Rightio, slow cookers. That's how deep we are into the good stuff. Now we're going to have a little bit of a look into what it is that we're going to do to finish off this pork and prunes. So I'm going to use what's called a beurre marnie, which is basically if you've ever made a bechamel sauce and you've mixed together flour and butter in a pan after the butter is melted. That's what we're doing here, except we're doing it in a bowl and then we're going to drip it in. It's still going to thicken it in exactly the same way. So for those of you that might have saw some of my other videos and gone, oh, what sort of gravy mix is he going to use here? Like, you know, how's he going to flavour that if it tastes so good? This is a really super fantastic way of doing it so that it retains a natural flavour. It doesn't add any additional flavour that confuses the flavour profile. And it's really super simple. And if you do this in front of a Sheila, you single blokes, they'll be really super impressed. All right, so bear that in mind. I've got a little bit of parsley to finish it off over there, just Italian flat leaf parsley, which is going to bring it out nice and fresh. So I add this and the last bit so that you get that nice freshness from it. I don't want to add this through the cooking because then it just cooks out and you lose it because we've got some nice strong flavours in there. As some of you might have recognised in the last video or the one before that I was talking about maybe getting a tripod. Well, I've got the closest thing to a tripod. You might want to call him a human tripod. And he's just over here. So I'm going to put it over to the tripod and then we'll get going on this beurre marnie. Thanks, mate. Right, so I've got butter in there. All right, so normally the rule is if you've got a litre of milk that you want to thicken, you're going to use 60 grams of butter and 60 grams of flour. So what I want to do here, 60 grams of flour looks like a lot more than 60 grams of butter. So I'm going to put the flour in and just give it a bit of a pinch and a mix around. And I'll show you what it is that I'm looking for. So you can see there, it looks like quite a lot. And all we're going to do is just bring that in together. And then you'll see once the flour starts getting absorbed into the butter, it'll all just come together really, really well. The heat of your hand helps here as well. It'll just soften it up as you go. Might as well use two hands here, there's no point messing around. All right. So it does take a minute, just bear with me. I might have had a beer or two, so just bear with me there as well. Okay, see that's coming together now? So the flour's starting to incorporate itself into there, all right? But if you have a look at it, you can still see it's got like that over whipped cream sort of feel. I want to bring it together so it's a little bit smoother. So I'll just get myself another good little dollop here. So about that much. And then we'll just go again. Now it's going to be a little bit easier to mix in from here. And see how it's coming out more like a dough. Now this is guesswork. We don't have to have all of the bits come in from the center. So once I feel that butter has taken in that flour quite well, I'm happy to stop there and just leave the remnants of flour in the bottom of the bowl. But this feels like it might need, no, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So when it starts to look like that, when you can shape it, can you see the little peaks in there? That means I'll need to put just a little bit more flour in, all right? So I'll get just a little bit more. And then we'll just mix that around. Now, if you want to be really specky, you can make like a batch of this. You can keep it in the fridge and it will last a good solid month, okay? Just pull it out. You want to use it when it's a bit softer. So pull it out, you know, probably an hour or two before you want to use, actually use it to thicken. And then it'll be much easier to work with. Okay, so that's now looking a lot better. You saw how much flour I added. See how it's a lot smoother? That's what it is that we're looking for, okay? So just for ease of stuff, I'm going to rip that up into a few little bits here. I'll get the gloves off so that I can stir it in properly. Rightio, come over here, tripod. Right. Before you do this, you always start with a stir, just to get the stuff that settles on the bottom back up to the top, mix it all around. And the pork in there is very, very tender. Like that's taking no effort whatsoever. That's just pulling apart. Okay, so this is ready to go. So what I'll do is I've got three pieces here. We'll probably use all three, but we'll see how we go. All right, so there's the first one, and then just stir it in. All we're doing is stirring it in, and you'll see straight away, as that starts to get some heat, the flour starts to activate, and that starts to thicken. You see how that's starting to thicken up there now? So it's gone from quite a sloppy, watery bit. It's actually starting to come together now. All right, now you will use a little bit more than this than what you might for gravy mix. All right, that's all part and parcel of it. But the best thing about it is you're using natural ingredients. So if you're caring about what sort of chemicals and numbers on ingredients lists that you're putting into your body, this is a way to keep a good eye on that and maintain the flavour. All right, so this is the second bit now. I've got one more bit in there. I'm definitely going to use all three. And see, now you can really start to see it. See how it's coming in more like, instead of just being a watery layer, it's actually more like a fluid in and of itself. All right. Don't be afraid to give it a little bit of gusto. Fantastic, that's really starting to come together. The longer that you leave this as well, the more it'll thicken until it's reached its maximum point and it can't thicken anymore. So that there, that's actually, I might not need the third one there, tripod. That's looking pretty good. Tripod's adverse to talking, so I'm just going to keep on mentioning him until he finally plucks up the courage to say, "How you going?" Right. Okay, so if I leave that as it is right now, look how you can see how much thicker that is now. In real time, you can see how much thicker that is now, all right? So that's not quite pie filling, that's just a good casserole thickness. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave that where it is there. I'm not gonna use the third one. So that's I've only used 2/3 of what it is that I made just in front of you just now. Just stay there for us with your tripod. And then the parsley, the fresh parsley, goes in over the top. Yes, it looks like a lot, but remember, you've got a couple of kilos of meat in there. Well, actually, it's 1.8 kilos of meat that's in there. And this freshness is what you're going to need because you've got quite a fatiguing array of ingredients in there. When you take into account the bacon, the pork, the butter that we're putting in, it's going to fatigue the palate. It's quite heavy. So all the fat that's in there is definitely going to do that. So that's now coming together really, really well. That's thickening really well. It's thickening beautifully, actually. And I reckon we're going to call that as being done. So I just want to give it a quick taste. And then, so just get that out the way. All right, let's have a look at this bad boy. Here we go. You see how much thicker it is on the spoon there. All right, it's really quite thick. And it's fucking hot too. Oh my God. That is complete mouth sex. That is so mellow. With all the strong flavors that we've put in there, it's just a really beautiful light casserole. The prune sweetness has come through. The freshness of the parsley is really shining right there at the top. And then you've got those nice, thick, heady flavors. So just remember, all of that fluid is mostly beer. And the rest of it is just what's come out of the pork and some of the other ingredients. So thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a nice time with this one. If you give it a crack, let me know. Any suggestions, any recipes that you want to see, hit me up and I'll be sure to do it. All right, have a good weekend. See you later, slow cookers.